Hello and welcome. Next up for repair is a Pioneer TX-5300. I really don't know what's wrong with this thing, so before I power this thing up, I'm going to take a little look in the inside. I've already got the cover off, and I'm just going to snoop around a little bit and then see if like the fuses are blown, if I can see anything burnt or something like that, and then go from there. So I just spent a minute or two snooping around the inside, and the only thing I could find wrong so far, of course I got the unit unplugged right now, is this here. And these wires, and here's looks like part of a bulb here. Looks like there's a missing bulb. This bulb, I believe, goes into the tuning meter. At least they taped off the ends, whoever it was. I hate it when people open these units up and then throw them back together. At least all the screws there. A lot of times screws are missing. So let me go ahead and fire this thing up. I've got an antenna hooked up in the back, a 300 ohm dipole antenna, and see what happens. So I've got the dial all the way over on the left now, and I'm going to go ahead and turn this thing on. Of course I got the 300 ohm dipole balanced antenna hooked up in the back here, and okay, looks like I'm getting something. Let me get my signal tracer out and then see if I'm getting any kind of a sound at the output. Now what I've got here is a little signal tracer injector. I don't use it very often, but when I do, it does come in quite handy. Like for example, now I've got it hooked up now, and I'm going straight to the tuner output, and then I can basically get a sense of how this thing sounds. Let me turn this thing down here. Okay, that's one channel, and okay, so it basically sounds okay so far. And you see I've got the end taped here before. You can guess why. I slipped before and I shorted something out, so now I've always got this thing taped up, so that's a good sign. So basically now let me go ahead and take a look at the bulb closer. Maybe I can get the service manual and figure out what kind of bulb goes in here, or there might be a marking here on what's left of that bulb. Let me shut everything off, shut the power off. Oh, and before I forget, sometimes these things, they can be found on eBay, and they're not actually too expensive. Of course, it doesn't have to be from this company. So if you can ever get one, go ahead and pick one up. Now I was able to read the writing on the bulb case here, and it seems like it is 8 volts and 50 milliamperes, and that's exactly what it says in the schematic. It seems like there's 3 bulbs here in parallel, and they're all basically they run straight from the transformer. So, and I know I'm getting something out of the transformer because I think are all the bulbs working? I know the stereo indicator bulb, okay, but that is not running off of the transformer. So I think what I'm going to do now is see if I get anything at the end of these terminals here coming out. So now I'm basically just going to take the reading off the other end of those 2 wires, just the other side. That's basically the same thing. And as you can see, I've got my leads hooked up beforehand, before I even actually do the testing. That's just a safer way of doing things. And again, Since the bulbs are powered directly off the transformer, I'm going to go ahead and be measuring AC voltage. So plug this thing back in. Hit the on switch. Okay, now that's an encouraging sign. I'm getting something. It would be bad if that winding in the transformer would be open. Very good. Okay. Of course, looking at the schematic, it said there's a total of 3 bulbs in parallel. So here's the actual light now after I put the new bulb in. And here's the actual type of bulb that I put in, 8 volts, 40 milliamperes. And down here you can see that I've actually, here's actually the wire right there. I've got it soldered to these terminals right there. And then again up there. There was a little plastic piece missing here. The person that worked on this before I did lost it, so I ended up hot gluing this in there. And again, I don't know if I mentioned it, it just gets warm, and I hot glued it, but I left a little quarter of the area I left free. I didn't put hot glue in there, so whatever tiny bit of heat that's in there can dissipate. And so far it's holding up fine. Got to remove the tuning knob. I'm going to park it all the way to the left, which I got a little 1.5 millimeter Allen head wrench to fit down in there. So now I get the rest of these little glass nut. I think this is a also 5.5 millimeter, and it's almost ready to come off. So I got like everything out almost except for this thing here. I need to get something back behind here. And that was that. So now the pilot lamps, they're behind here. All I need to do is get a Phillips screwdriver in there, and well, since this basically fell out, now this gives me the opportunity to clean this up. The dowel plate, it's made out of glass. And there we have it. I just loosened that up. Definitely burnt out. So got these little 250 milliampere things. Let me go ahead and see if this one's working. Plug it back in. Okay, so looks like the one on the right side is actually working, or it just came to life. And here's a dial indicator. I don't even think it has a, I don't think there's any kind of wire going to it. It's not no, it's not lit. Okay, I guess there's only 3 bulbs in there then, and a stereo indicator. So let me throw everything back together now.